Hey everyone, what's going on? It's Am I Missing Something? It's Matt.
And it's Zach.
So this show, if you haven't joined us for one of these before, more of a commentary type platform. We just pick a topic and honestly ask ourselves the question, are we missing something about a particular topic? And this time, this is about a festival in New Jersey. You clicked on the picture. And this year, it's happening in Atlantic City, New Jersey, May 5th through May 7th. It's called the Bamboozle. And I remember in years past it being like this huge thing where you had to, you were waiting for the lineup to come out. And it was a big thing when the lineup came out because there were some really huge names that were on the bill. And because it was a 3-day festival, usually outdoors, it was going to be a really good time. And one of the big shows of the summer that you had to go to. And, well, Zach, fill him in a little bit more about this year.
A little backtrack history, as Matt alluded to. I mean, yeah, it was a big festival. And it was also one of those festivals that always caught you off guard and how kind of random it would be sometimes. Sometimes you could literally see your favorite pop punk band on one stage and then Pauly D doing a DJ set on the other, or Motley Crue doing a set and then Lil Wayne doing a set, and Boyz II Men to Newfound Glory. Like literally, it went from a typical Asbury Park punk festival to literally just a anything goes, no holds bar kind of music fest. And in 2012, they had their last year with Foo Fighters, Bon Jovi, Blink-182, Skrillex, I think Post Malone. And then essentially it went on hiatus from there. And then I'd say around 2021, Bamboozle kind of just popped out of nowhere in that they announced that we're getting ready to come back and celebrate our anniversary and celebrate our roots in 2023, which at that time even seemed weird. Like, oh, wow, you're not even announcing, if for next year, it's in 2 years. Okay, well, maybe pandemic, whatever. And literally since then, they've been kind of teasing the return of Bamboozle. And not, whether it's making people think that it was going to be back to its pop punk roots or whatever, they were teasing something big. And they kept teasing it for months and months. And then festivals like When We Were Young in Las Vegas came out and had My Chemical Romance, Paramore, and all the bands that you kind of want to see.
That was the lineup of lineups.
That lineup was so bizarrely amazing. Like it was almost like it couldn't have been real. Like literally everyone was waiting for it to implode. So when it actually finally, they had a little weather issue that canceled the first day, but once it finally launched, everyone was like, holy crap, it actually happened. And it was amazing. But so when that lineup came up, I was like, all right, wow, that's kind of what I would want from a Bamboozle festival. What's going on here? Still teasing. We're going to be even bigger. We're going to even be better. Then in September, October, a Jason Festival got announced in Atlantic City. It has Blink-182, Paramore, Coheed and Cambria, Thursday, Turnstile, bands also you kind of want to see at Bamboozle. And what's even weirder is that that's happening on Memorial Day weekend. And around that time, they'd already announced that it would be in Atlantic City, but during the first weekend of May. And the festival and the creators, John D'Esposito, was touting how, no, that's a good lineup, but we got an even bigger lineup. We got even bigger names that spread across all different genres. It's going to be huge. It's going to even be bigger and it's going to be massive. And keep in mind, around that time, too, they launched a website to promote Bamboozle 2023, whatever this current incarnation, to basically look like MySpace, which is kind of cool if you consider when you think of Bamboozle, you kind of think of the MySpace days. Oh, this is kind of clever marketing. It's getting our hopes up. And around this time, they start selling tickets. Basically, because that's not unusual, too, is when a festival will say, hey, in good faith, buy tickets at a reduced price now before it jumps when we announce the lineup. So they do that. Fans are excited. They're buying tickets because it's going to be huge. So of course we want to get tickets before it gets even more expensive. And then around, I'd say October, November-ish, they announced the first slate of bands. Now, keep in mind, at that point, they revealed that not only is there going to be NFT ticketing involved, which should already be a red flag, but they're going to essentially announce the bands in 3 phases. I want you all to remember that. 3 phases, because it'll give you an idea of how this has been kind of a cluster here in a second. So phase 1, they announced, and they make it clear that there's no headliners in phase 1. Okay, cool. Understood. And among the highlights,
kind of weird to me, but okay.
listen, if you want to go a little crazy, cool. And maybe, you know what? This is your chance to be like, listen, if you think these bands are cool, wait till you see the headliner. It's like, all right, setting us up big here. Bands are getting excited. Bamboozle's back. And the highlights of the phase one are Limp Bizkit, Rick Ross, Steve Aoki, and Young Gravy.
I don't know who the last one is.
Womp womp.
Sorry.
Womp womp. I mean, but what's kind of even crazier at this point and making fans kind of go, what? And I'm sorry, and also they announced Say Anything at that point. So it's like, all right, like, I mean, it's kind of cool, but you better have some bigger names if you're going to be charging $359 for GA tickets, even if it is a 3-day festival.
So hold on, before we go any further.
Oh, and there's more, so please continue.
Just to bring this up, Metallica, for a 2-night ticket to go see them with 2 different sets each of the different nights on this current tour, where Pantera and Wolfgang Van Halen are going to be doing the openers. Tickets were like $150 for Metallica.
For nosebleeds, though.
But you could go crazy if you wanted
for
to.
2 shows.
For 2 shows.
Yes.
So just where pricing is. Let's just call
also level set a little bit more. Currently, and this is before the tickets even because Adjacent Festival also had a price increase. But currently, for a 2-day ticket to Adjacent Festival, just for the GA, it's about a little over $350 non-clean taxes. Before you go, well, 2 days versus 3 days, keep in mind the headliners, Paramore and Blink-182. Blink-182 alone, you could end up spending $400 on a single ticket for nosebleeds for Blink-182 alone. So if you compare that when you get a bunch of other bands that are also really good, that's kind of worth it. But again, it's just phase one. I'm sure there'll be more interesting bands announced.
Who's next?
Well, not only are they really wishy-washy in regards to when even the next round of bands are announced, but then they slowly do the 12 days of Christmas, kind of like each day they're going to reveal bands. And it's just uneven as to when they actually announce it. And it's just, all right, Attila. Okay, I guess saves the day. Okay. Hollywood Undead. That's okay. They're still around. Good for bands that are just like, all right, this is not terrible, but this is all you got. And then while all of this is happening, John DeEsposito, the founder of it, who founded Bamboozle and is still kind of the man in charge of it, is basically just like changing the narrative. First, when Jason first announced their lineup, he's going on about 8 headliners who can pack arenas and massive artists. Then suddenly it's down to 3 headliners, and suddenly the whole narrative of this is a tribute to what Bamboozle was. It's changing into how this is to introduce new fans to the festival. It becomes this is a festival for Gen Z. And the spirit of Bamboozle was never about big bands. It was about discovering new artists. And just like he's just changing the narrative all of a sudden. And
what is Gen Z? What's Gen Z about this festival, though?
Well, and that's another thing you can debate too. It's just like literally he's changing the narrative. And he's also, instead of answering people's questions like, well, what's, when you announcing this, or when's the price, like you keep saying about the price decreasing or increasing. It's just like so many different narratives, and they're not sticking to timelines of when they're revealing artists or lineups. And then suddenly as the 12 days go on, they start reintroducing artists that they had already announced. It's like, well, what happened to the new artists you're announcing? And then they're like announcing the side stages, like they're announcing a puppet to perform, this metal puppet character, and they're posting it on socials as if it's a big get, as if it's an actual artist lineup. When it's like,
that guy's fine for.
It's a free parking lot attraction, not a freaking main stage. Like, what the heck?
He's good for Instagram. I've seen that on Instagram.
Yeah, but it's like that's who you're touting as a big addition to the lineup. Like, it just was like, and again, they're getting even more defensive, and they're posting things and then deleting posts. It's just back and forth. And then finally in beginning of 2023, the next round of artists are coming. And again, even more defensive comments from the owner and the festival. And they're starting to do teasers to really get you all hyped up. Teasers that make you think it's going to be all-time low, which you're like, well, that's kind of lame, but that's the big act. Well, don't worry. They didn't get them either. Then they just start adding bands like Papa Roach and Flyleaf. And it's just like, what? And mind you, I mean, granted, there are some artists like Joey Badass who, while I'm not familiar with hip hop, I'm sure he's big in his genre, but just like you're looking at this lineup and they keep adding more and more artists. And then they're like slowly kind of hiding artists that they're kind of like getting away with. Or just like maybe they're still like Palisades, I guess, was initially announced. And then they're like, hey, big misunderstanding. We're not playing Bamboozle. So that's already causing a lot of confusion. But you're looking at this lineup and it's like, okay, not like horrific, but you're telling me that if there are all these months of hype and for the price that you're charging, this is what I'm getting? And it's just like, because and what's also causing a lot of frustration is not only have they been really misleading in their marketing about how big, because then again, also, actually, so I should backtrack a little bit. Sorry for this, but at the time of us recording this, it's at the end of the week that John D'Esposito had posted a message on Bamboozle's fan forum, which coincidentally was taken down today and completely got scrubbed away from the internet. Basically, just doubling down on this is festivals for Gen Z. This is for discovering new artists, making comparisons to how, like with Warped Tour, you didn't go there for the headliners. You went there for discovering bands, which is BS. And yeah, you discovered bands there, but that was a single day festival that was very affordable. And that's also, if you look at the actual Atlantic City Festival that they did back in 2019, they did deliver in the big headliner bands. They delivered in Blink. They delivered in Offspring, in A Day to Remember. But that's beside the point. And he also was like, we're going to be announcing even more big bands that have played arenas, that have played, it's going to be huge. It's going to be great. There's not a head. And then this is something that the narrative they first put out there in December that he reiterated again in this past week, in that Bamboozle's the headliner. We will not have big money, big costly headliners at Bamboozle, even though that's exactly what he insinuated back in the summer. So in other words, they just couldn't get the headliners, and now they're just backtracking, but they're just like literally like changing the narrative. And here we are. And what's even more kind of sad, and this is where it gets really kind of scammy, in that leading up to January, they kept saying, buy tickets now before prices increase. Well, guess what they announced this week? Prices will not increase. And if anything, you actually look at the prices now, they've decreased. So people who bought $350 tickets out of good faith now have to realize that they can't even get rid of their tickets at face value because the price of face value keeps decreasing. So a lot of people are upset. So I guess really, I realize that was a big little history lesson there, but really, am I missing something here is what the heck gives? How did we end up here with such a respectable festival, or at least a brand name that sure is always a little kooky, but how did we get into this shit show known as Bamboozle 2023?
So while you were giving that great history lesson of Bamboozle, which
thank you,
I give you credit for.
Oh, thank you.
I was browsing their website and I was trying to find this MySpace thing because I was curious because I've never seen it, but I don't see it anywhere on their website.
Oh no, it's completely gone.
Okay, good. I was going to say, am I missing even more here? Because
no, you can even argue. I mean, they, in their defense, they even said the website's going to be refreshed. Like,
okay,
but yeah, like it was unfortunate. And what also doesn't help is that they keep going. We're not just trying to look to the past, and yet every other Facebook or Instagram post is a video throwback to a past band set.
So yeah.
So what gives here?
Just to go on, like, I think how kind of empty this feels. Like normally, if
that's
you have
a good way to say it, it's empty.
So I'm looking at it. It's got the countdown of how many days are left. Then it's got like important information about the festival, right? So they've got The FAQs and ticket info, important information to have. Hotels, fine if you're coming in from out of town. It's Atlantic City. You want to know where to stay and where not to stay. That's fine. The break contest, which is where you find the new bands. So that's fine if you want to enter your band into the contest so you can play at the Bamboozle. Press applications to 2023 vendor forum. All right, well, whatever. And then underneath that, next to all of this other important information, there's information that you can purchase, or excuse me, not purchase, rent a mobile charging locker while you're at the festival. If this is one of the highlights of your festival, that you have to put this front and center, that you can rent a locker for your cell phone. I understand that everybody needs to charge their phone.
Something also that needs to be called out here is, so one of the things that both John, the owner, the creator of Bamboozle, and Bamboozle keeps like fighting back is how, well, those who are wanting a pop punk festival, yeah, this isn't going to be for you. Move on. Go to, like, I almost want to be like, guys, no one is saying they wanted a pop punk festival. Sure, Adjacent has a great lineup, but we all understand that there's more to music than just rock. The issue is that literally, well, as decent, I mean, sure, there's definitely some bands here that could be interesting, but I look at the lineup and there's either bands that definitely can't pack an arena. I'm sorry. Like Limp Bizkit, sorry, we've covered the band probably more than we really should on this podcast, but
Nah, never too much Limp Bizkit.
but like, sure, they're fun, and sure, they made a little bit of a splash at Lollapalooza 2 years ago. But you look at the ticket returns during their arena tour, which, by the way, most of those dates got moved from an arena to a theater weeks before the shows even happened. And Madison Square Garden couldn't even be half full when they played it. They can't be an arena band. And even some of these bands are like, cool, they're cool, but literally they just announced a tour that they're going to be playing a small theater in New York the night before, the night after, for much cheaper. Like, all these bands are not like that, like, oh, this is the only time I can see these. Like, there's definitely festivals where it's like, oh my God, I'm never going to be able to see this band anywhere else, even, or this close. Because there's even times where, like, with Warped Tour 2019, when they did the festival in Atlantic City, yes, Blink-182 was doing an amphitheater tour at the same time. But me and my wife were able to get pretty damn close to the stage at Warped Tour because it was a festival. Whereas at amphitheater tours, unless if we paid a little bit more money for tickets, we would have been much further away. That's kind of the beauty of sometimes buying tickets at festivals, that you can, as long as you're willing to wait it out a little bit or to get a good spot, or maybe even pay a little extra for VIP, you can get great placements or get great distance from a band at a festival that you couldn't get at their own shows. Not that is, of course, unless if that band is playing theaters instead of, and at the same time as festivals. Like, none of these bands make me go, oh, I need to buy a ticket for this. And something I also think is working against this festival, and also, frankly, working against Adjacent too, is the location. Atlantic City is expensive. Everyone thinks, oh, there's so many hotel options. Well, yes, there's a lot of hotel options, but once it hits May, those hotel options get very, very pricey, especially for more than one night during a weekend. Very pricey. And also where it's at, Bader Field, it's not really close to the hotels. You kind of need to, like, I mean, it's a walk. It's not right around the corner. It's not like it's right on the beach, so you just leave your hotel and boom, you're there. It's a pain in the butt to get to. And I've also even learned that if with kids now, I kind of have a hard time committing to anything that's more than 2 days, even more than 1 day, frankly. In fact, me and my wife were even saying that if Adjacent Festival wasn't on Memorial Day weekend, we would have gone in a heartbeat, but we just know that, like, it's going to be hard to, like, get anyone to help watch the kids during that time. You're asking people to commit 3 days in Atlantic City at peak travel season. You better put up. And just, you tell me, Matt, did they put up on with this lineup?
I don't think that they put up nearly as much as what they claim. Like I remember going to the Bamboozle years ago, and there's always a nice mixture of bands. Maybe this isn't for me because I'm not Gen Z, but there was always that mix of bands that you knew or everybody knew by name. And then there were bands that, were the like the underground type bands that were on the verge of kind of breaking out, or they were just that underground band that everybody had to know about. And then there was just kind of all of this other random stuff. Well, I can say that there are names on here that I do recognize and that obviously everybody's going to know. So like Limp Bizkit and Papa Roach and Motionless and White. And I'm sure that, I just happened to look on Spotify earlier about who Ski Mask the Slump God is, and apparently he's got a lot of listens. So I'm sure a lot of people know who he is. I don't. I've heard of Attila. I've heard of Steve Aoki. But then there's some of the underground bands that have been around for a long time, like Finch and Saves the Day and E-Town Concrete, Hollywood Undead, and then it's a bunch of what am I looking at? This is what kills me is the what I'm looking at. And some of these names, and people can, tell me in the comments if I'm just too old to understand. But like I'm looking at Puddles Pitty Party. What the hell is that?
So here's the funny thing about this lineup. That is actually one of the more fun additions to the lineup.
What is it?
It's a comedic performance. He's a sad clown that does covers of pop punk and just hit mainstream songs.
Boring.
He's actually
the band.
Well, he's kind of, again, he's funny and fun, but not all right, here's the first wave of bands that's playing. Like that is supposed to be like the bizarre addition to the lineup, which I'm just like, yeah, it's still not big. Like even, I guess my big thing about this lineup too is that if this was a one-day festival on a Saturday, even for like $200, I'm like, all right, this could be cool. You could discover some bands. You just roam around like from, early in the morning to the end of night. Could be fun. But then also the whole, like when Adjacent Festival announced their lineup, which granted, I'm sure that irked them a lot because they knew that they were going to get just shat on for not getting any of those bands. But like, because then it also just basically shot to hell, like anyone guessing that maybe Blink-182 would play Bamboozle or Paramore would pop up. Like those, chances were just shot when the Adjacent came out. So I'm sure they were pissed off. But they were taking shots at Adjacent going, yeah, they got a bunch of bands that I could play seeing at Starland. We got bands that are playing that play huge arenas that you'll get to see here. And I'm looking at the lineup, I'm like, you're telling me Papa Roach, they play Summer Stage in Asbury Park at best. That's the biggest kind of venue they can play on the East Coast. Limp Bizkit, again, couldn't even fill half of Madison Square Garden. Couldn't even tell you where Rick Ross can perform nowadays. Like these bands are not arena stadium bands.
The only one that I would even question whether or not they're an arena band, and you can tell me this, is Motionless in White. And I don't even think they're not an arena. Like the last time that I saw Motionless in White was at PNC, which is an amphitheater here in Jersey. And who did we see them with? Because I think you were with them
with Alice Cooper. And
That's right.
They were the opener that no one in the crowd really knew. Maybe
because
less than 25% of the arena.
That's weird opener.
Granted, that arena wasn't as full either. I mean, that was definitely a show where the PNC Center knew that, like, hey, we're going to just make money on beer. So we know it's not going to be a sold out show.
So let's talk about the rest of this then. Like the Steve Aoki thing, like he's a big name. I can recognize he's a big name.
And you know what? Me and my wife were even talking about this. How like, you know what? I get it. That would actually be a fun show to see, but not on a festival like this.
No, right. You don't. If going to Steve Aoki's emo night dance party to have a DJ play you songs of the bands that are not there, that's the weirdest thing ever. Like if you wanted to maybe charge $45 to $50 a head and have it like as an after party, that would be something cool to go see, but not during the rest of the festival. If that's one of your big gets and like one of your big names, like Finch is not that name. Saves the Day is not that name. Who else is on here? They got some of these things that are not highlighted here. So
Flyleaf, that was a big reveal. Flyleaf wasn't even that relevant when they were relevant.
Yeah, they were like
Good
the
for
lesser
them. They
known.
got Lazy back in the band. Like, no one cares.
And it's not. It's like it's Flyleaf with Lacey Sturm. It's not Flyleaf. So
You're telling me that if they weren't playing on Bamboozle, that they would be playing in arena?
oh no,
No,
not at all.
they wouldn't even
So
be playing in theater. Maybe Starland if they were lucky.
so
Maybe.
let's see who else. Mayday Parade. Eh, not
Listen,
not
if
they're
not
good. They're a decent
this is
band, but they're
not
not huge.
this is not a horrendous lineup.
It-
It's
but
just
this is not what you were advertised.
not what you're advertising, and it's not worth what you're asking fans to commit to, both in cost and in time. Now, Matt, can I give you a little fun history lesson?
You haven't already?
I know. I'm just chock full of knowledge. I think I'm going to blow your mind with this one, actually. So, little sidetrack, and you'll see the connections here for a second. Matt, do you remember the Rock Carnival?
That sounds very familiar.
I know you know it because you were forced to go to it when you were a DJ at WDHA. I went there willingly because it was actually a fun show. For those who aren't familiar, in 2015, there was a
Oh
rock music festival.
yeah.
There you go.
Oh
I
yeah.
see your wheels turning there. In 2015, there was actually a really awesome rock festival that was a mix of more modern hard rock and hair metal. Slash was one of the headliners. Godsmack was another headliner. They had
Black Label
Anthrax,
Society was
Black
in
Label
there.
Society, Seven Dust, Clutch.
3 Days
Had 3
Grace.
Days Grace, Skid Row. It was actually really Stone Temple Pilots of Chester. It was actually a really fun festival. And what's nice is that it was also a carnival, and it was marketed as a really fun family event. Kids actually got to go for free. They had food trucks. They had carnival games. They had wrestling. It was a fun event.
It was
Really
weird that it
well.
was in the middle of a town, but
It was in Clark, New Jersey in September of 2015. It was a great time. Well, I guess the creators of that festival did not have as great of a time because they ended up suing each other shortly after, the two partners. And then shortly after that, one of the partners, once they settled the lawsuits, one of the creators of the festival got the branding name and relocated the festival in a minor league baseball field in more like Ocean County area of New Jersey. And yeah, I'm trying to think. Just not to skip too far ahead, but what was kind of interesting was that whereas they did a great job announcing the bands and like slowly adding on some acts, it was very erratic as to how they announced the bands. They kept saying, "Tune in on Tuesday to find out who's playing the festival, to find out the next round of bands," and no announcement would be coming out. They just kind of like kept like fumbling. And then when they finally did announce the lineup, it was all right, but it was definitely, I mean, Matt, I love Alice Cooper, but Alice Cooper wasn't the headliners. They brought Clutch back, which is like, well, that's weird. They were just there the year before. Twisted Sister, they marketed as their final US show, which was, okay, good get. Hailstorm was like, well, that's not really a big headliner compared to Slash and Godsmack, but okay, whatever. The Used, it was like, when they finally got to the bands they were playing, it's like, oh, that's kind of, meh, compared to it. After all that hype, nothing really. And then on a side note, Twisted Sister ended up actually suing the founder of Rock Carnival because they didn't get paid fully, because the festival claimed that they lost money because it rained really heavily during the weekend. They, had to refund people, even though that festival very clearly said rain or shine. So really, why did they have to refund people if they made it clear? And so this is a big kind of, legal issues. I bring that up because, Matt, can you guess who that creator / founder of the Rock Carnival was?
could that be the same guy who is the creator and founder of the Bamboozle?
Well, wouldn't you know it? Yes, it is. John DeEsposito created that festival. Well, he co-created it, and then once he finally got full reins, it's just interesting. I forget the lawsuit part of Twisted Sister. But you gotta think the way that they rolled out these bands and just kind of didn't do a great job at rolling it out. It was like,
It
where
sounds
does
like
this feel familiar? It's like, oh, because he did this before, where
well,
he false released lineups.
this guy sounds like the guy who takes the dramatic pause and then just doesn't deliver on the surprise.
Yeah.
He just doesn't seem like he should be the voice of
Well, and
anything.
he's clearly it's causing a huge backlash. I mean, it's funny because he's saying in the statement like, we didn't go after big money demanding headliners. And then one commenter was like, huh, you didn't go after big money demanding headliners, and yet your festival prices indicate that you did. So where's the
Yes,
money going?
exactly.
And then someone commented on that saying, well, Twisted Sister. So like when I saw, I'm like, oh my God, that's actually hysterical. And just was like, so I wanted to bring that up because, all right, this company / him have a history of not doing a great job at generating good buzz for a festival.
And you know what? He probably is the same guy who lives under the banner of no press is bad press.
Probably. And you know, it's also kind of funny because that first year of the Rock Carnival, so because he keeps going on about how Bamboozle's more than just, you know, bands, it's the experience, it's the wrestling, it's this and that.
Bullshit.
Well, it's bullshit, but also I'm like, all right, if that's really true, the wrestling does not mean you add an additional $100 to your ticket price. Because if Rock Carnival proved anything, because that had wrestling, that had carnival food, like that had more than just the band experience.
I remember the food being really good now that I remember that this festival existed.
It was a great festival. And it was very clear the way that the following year ran into the grave, that the partners that left said festival were the ones that made sure it was good, because the way they had the band set up was phenomenal. The lineup was great. Literally, so now my niece and nephews are much older, and that makes me feel terrible about myself. But they were at the age where they were young enough to go for free, and they had a blast because it wasn't just bands. They got to do carnival stuff. They got to watch wrestling. We met Hacksaw Jim Duggan at the festival. It was fun. And guess what? It wasn't that expensive.
No, I remember it not being expensive at all.
It was extremely affordable.
For the lineup that they had the first year, it was actually very reasonably priced.
It was actually ridiculously reasonable. Like, it was like really good. So if you're going to change your narrative and say, this is about discovering bands, this is the same festival where people discovered the Jonas Brothers and the next big bands.
Okay.
But charged like that. Don't charge me as if I'm going to go see the biggest band headline a festival. Charge me as if I'm going to go to one day. Charge me as if I'm going to Warped Tour in 2008, where I'm going to go see a few of my favorite bands, but also discover 10 more bands.
And I think that's what he's living under, because I'm looking at the history of Bamboozle and I'm looking at some of the bands that they had in the past. So Bamboozle 2007, to give you an idea of the big names that were on the festival that year. One of them you may know the name of. I'm not quite sure. They're called Linkin Park. Okay. So, we're not about the big name bands. Oh, okay. That first off, that's bullshit. You had Linkin Park, and My Chemical Romance was the other headliner of the event. Okay. So I think
what's weird about that is that really, I don't know if that would even justify being called Bamboozle, because I'm pretty sure that year was just Project Revolution. That's just the Project Revolution tour, right?
But
no, I'm sure they molded it together. But yeah.
So let's see who else was on here. Andrew, let's see. Hold on, I'm going to go through some of the names on here. Oh, they have. But for them to say that this is a thing where you go just to discover bands. No. You had a clear vision that you were going to bring in some of the biggest names, smaller bands, to try to get you to pay attention to the younger bands that were going to be performing at like 11:45 on Saturday morning.
And I think it just speaks volumes about this festival's reputation too, that this is the year that Paramore came back, Blink-182 came back, Fall Out Boy came back, My Chemical Romance is back, and they couldn't even get them to consider it clearly. So Fall Out Boy are playing PNC Center in August. Like, there's bands that like are announcing tours. I'm like, you're telling me you couldn't even get them? Yellow Card is playing whatever freaking album, Ocean Avenue. Maybe it's just called Ocean Avenue. I don't even
It
know.
is.
Is it?
Yeah.
It's just Yellow Card. But they couldn't even get Yellow Card. And Yellow Card's playing Philadelphia, New York, and Asbury Park. You're telling me you couldn't get them to play Bamboozle instead?
It's funny you say that they have played Bamboozle before on the year
Of
that I'm
course.
looking at. So on 2007, I want to go over this lineup a little bit for 2007 to show you the type of bands that this festival used to get. So they had Andrew WK, they had Boys Like Girls, okay, Silverstein, Bayside, Say Anything was there, Newfound Glory. Let's see, Paramore was there that year. The Starting Line, Saves the Day, Muse. So you're not about big name bands, but Muse was on this as well.
Well, hold on. Two things about what you just said there. In that defense, Muse was actually not that. I mean, they were huge overseas.
But they were that underground band that everybody kind of heard the buzz about.
Yeah. And ironically, in Bamboozle's defense, at least 3 of the bands that you just mentioned are on this year's lineup.
Right. So here, let's keep going here. Let's see who else is on
go
here.
Ahead. I digress.
Let's see. If you're familiar with Thrice,
of course,
they're actually one of my favorite underground bands.
Thrice is great.
Let's see. Kill Switch Engage, the aforementioned Yellow Card, Circus Survive, Jack's Mannequin. So that they were very big at one point because of the split off from Something Corporate. Weird Al Yankovic. Let's see.
To give you a little context about Piddle, that clown guy I was telling you about.
Puddles Pitty Party.
I bet you that they're thinking, yeah, this is our Weird Al Yankovic this year. That's what that's where their thinking is in booking him, I bet.
And moving right along.
Little context.
Plain White Tees.
Who were huge at that point.
Oh, yeah. Devil Wears Prada. Norma Jean was pretty big at that time. As I Lay Dying before all of the scandals and the arrests. Hawthorne Heights. This was the year of the Jonas Brothers in 2007.
No doubt that a lot of artists, a lot of fans discovered artists through Bamboozle. Yeah. But they had the other bands to reel you in.
Right. They had the names, they had the bigger underground bands, the buzz bands, and then you can discover the people who are playing at 11:45 a.m. on Saturday morning.
Yeah. And how many days was that festival? Was that in 2007?
May 5th and 6th.
So 2 days.
And that would be accurate.
Yes. I mean, I don't know, and maybe again, this is me getting older, but I slowly now realize the benefits of just a 1 day. Because I mean, of course I still do 2-day festivals when I can, but like if you're asking someone to commit that much time, money, and effort, and that's what you're providing people, I don't know. I mean, let me ask you, Matt, and maybe I don't know if this is a good way to wrap things up, but looking at the lineup, is there at least one artist that makes you go, you know what, I really would like to see that?
No. There's not one band that I would say, I need to purchase this ticket for $350 to go see.
Let me rephrase the question. Is there a band here that would make you go, oh man, I want to see them even on their own? Like maybe not to bring you into a festival, that makes you go, oh wow, that's cool that they got them. Maybe one day I can see them.
No. I've seen the bands on here that I want to see. Some not since 2001, 2002. And I'm okay with that.
I'm re-looking at this as I speak, and especially because
Hold on. I hate to keep us going here because we said we were going to wrap up, but
yeah.
I just did a little more clicking here, and I find this very interesting. So
that's dangerous.
There's a single day ticket that you can purchase. So maybe not the $350. So let's be fair. It says on the ticket here, it says $119 plus. Okay, that's fine. But I click on it. The only day that's $119 is Friday. Saturday and Sunday are $129. Granted, it's not that much more, but I find that very strange.
That is strange.
Your festival is essentially saying our Friday lineup is not as good as our Saturday and Sunday lineup.
But that's the day that Puddles is playing.
But I don't understand that thought process. Once again, not anything mind-blowing. It's $10 more, but I've never seen, and I can honestly say this, I have never, for a general admission ticket, seen two separate prices for two separate days. You can comment and let me know if I'm wrong, but I've been going to shows for a very long time, and I've never seen that. Now, what I will say is a fucking ripoff, hands down, is the MVP VIP ticket price for $1,500.
Also, they're already starting to like lay down the groundwork for saying, for if you join the rewards member club, you could end up winning free tickets too. So they're just
this isn't fucking Starbucks. Are you kidding?
Yeah.
What?
It's like it's getting fucking
membership
ridiculous.
Thing.
It's getting like really like they keep acting like because we're so ahead of times and we're being like revolutionary how we do it. It's like no, you're just being dumb.
Okay, so to be fair,
dumb.
This is for one person. It's one MVP VIP pass for all 3 days. For each MVP VIP pass, you get all 3 days of the Bamboozle. Thank God. Dedicated entry and early access, 30 minutes to general admission. Okay, so nothing's going to be open and you're going to walk around. Awesome. An unlimited VIP lounge access with comfortable seating. Okay. Elevated and secured viewing platform at each main stage. Okay, still nothing that's worth $1,500. Designated viewing area at other stages. Okay, this one is honestly the first thing I get excited by on here. A private air-conditioned restroom.
So, before you continue going on, I will actually say that these like MVP, VIP, like the $1,500 tickets in VIP areas, it's actually not that unusual. It's always kind of mind-boggled me, but those are also good for like, all right, I really want to like have like a VIP area where I don't even leave it. It's air conditioned. It's got all the food I want. It usually includes food or includes kind of some more extra perks.
Let's see if it gets to food. Okay, because that would be something that's worth it at some of these festivals because food's outrageous. So you get free Wi-Fi because God forbid you don't have Wi-Fi. A free phone charging station. Okay, still nothing that's $1,500. A private bar and food vendor plus additional purchases. So it's not all free.
Well, no, it's not always free food. But here's the other thing too, because we've even for See Here Now Festival, which is a festival that my wife and I love to go to in Asbury Park. We actually have gone out and spent a little bit more money on VIP tickets because it gets us an actual better spot in front of the stage. And it also gives us, even though it's not free food, it gives us access to different food vendors that have less lines. And if you've been to a festival, sometimes you can end up waiting an hour for food. So being in a line for 2 minutes as opposed to an hour, sometimes that's worth the extra money. I must admit, it sounds crazy.
Not for $1,500.
Well, it might be good food. And for the record, too, to level set here, Adjacent Festival, they have something kind of similar. And granted, they don't really have this one doesn't have like a meet and greet with bands, which again, you're kind of like hoping that they're honest with the meet and greets. Bamboozle. That's assuming that you even trust them to deliver on that. But for basically just exclusive access or entrance and exclusive like shaded area to watch the sets and everything, plus Wi-Fi, refill waters, air conditioned restrooms and whatnot. It is $1,200 essentially. So,
but a much better lineup.
That is true too.
So just looking at all of the rest of this stuff on here, there's nothing on here that leads me to believe this should be $1,500.
You mean you don't want to meet Puddles' pity party?
Well, right. And I was going to get to that. So they have meet and greets with a bunch of bands. Granted, like you said, provided that they're going to show up. But it's not really any amazing names. So just real quick, Acadia Strain, Alex Sampson, Attila, Boys Like Girls, Kalu, Du Bois, Kane Hill, Carnifex, Chelsea Grin, Diablo, Driver Era, Elise, End It, Finch, Freddie Dread, The Garden, Gideon, I Set My Friends on Fire, Kanoshi.
Half of these bands you could meet for free.
Yes.
If you wait just 10 minutes after their set.
Yep.
Wherever they're playing in your town.
There's about maybe 10
no
or
offense to
10 or 12 more bands. But the only big name in here, at least to me, is Motionless in White.
So I could see people going, apparently Young Gravy has a following. I don't really know. But like, I'll stand by this. And again, nothing against the bands on this list. But I'm sure even they would agree that, hey, just wait for us at the merch table.
Yeah.
We'll sign it for free.
Yeah.
We'll sign your shirt for free. Like,
support us, buy a quote CD, and we'll sign it for you.
Like, that's how it was at Warped Tour.
That's how it's been at a lot of shows at Starland
Festival. Free. Yeah. It's like, yeah, like I don't need to spend an extra $1,000 just for that.
And think of it this way. You're not going to go to this show alone. You're going to bring somebody along with you, which means that now this festival has just made $3,000 off of absolutely nothing.
And also, mind you, at first I was like, well, there's also exclusive acoustic performances from some of the talent. That's kind of BS too, because guess what? See Here Now Festival, they have surprise acoustic performances from the bands that are playing on the festival. But guess what? It's at a tent on the premises, and it's for free. Or when I say free, it's for all attendees.
Yeah. You bought a ticket, you get it.
Yeah. So why should that be extra?
There's a lot that's frustrating with this festival.
Yes, and I think that's what it is too. I know, one can make the argument like move on, but at the same time, it's just like, for me at least, also coming from a PR kind of background, to watch a brand just do so much damage to itself.
So you can buy the VIP pass that they have and cut out all the meet and greets, and that's $750.
Yeah.
I don't get it.
And that's where we turn. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
I remember going to this festival years and years ago, and I remember it kind of being a cash grab, but never this bad. I know times are tough and money's tight, but
listen, you got to pay.
There's a better way to spend money. There's a better way.
You have to pay D. Snyder his due eventually, and damn it, D. Snyder has come to collect. So here's Bamboozle.
Quote Bamboozle. Even the logo is crying. Even the Bamboozle logo is crying.
Oh my goodness, that's so true. Well, you know what? I think that's a good time to ask. What do you think? Do you feel bamboozled by this whole experience? Or are we the ones being bamboozled? Do we not get it? Are we out of our minds? Are we missing the bigger picture? Let us know on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and now TikTok. I feel so old saying that out loud.
Yeah, TikTok.
TikTok. At Epic Footnote. Let us know what you think. Thank you for listening, and thank you to Lucky 13 Beardco.
Make sure you log on to lucky13beardco.com. We're giving you 10% off of anything, any beard balm and oil that they have in stock. They all smell amazing. Use the code EFP10 at checkout to get 10% off of your order. And make sure that if you head over there and you're a fan of Motorhead, that you check out our exclusive Lemmy Beard Oil Bourbon Tobacco Cola Leather. It's going to make you feel epic. It's going to make you smell really damn good. I don't know if it's going to make you smell like Lemmy, because I can't imagine he smelled amazing, but you are going to smell amazing with our beard oil. Use the code EFP10 to check out Lucky13, beardco.com.
And, if you're in a buying mood, because, who isn't in this economy, go to our Linktree URL, go to our gift store. Yeah, we have a merch store now. You can buy Epic Footnote t-shirts, coffee mugs, hoodies, stickers. Go ahead, help us, support our podcast, and let us talk more nonsense about music festivals. And for an extra $15,000, you could even meet Matt and I. You could even be on.
I'll bring bottles of water, and I'll bring you one of them little sports bands.
You could hear us sing Ocean Avenue. How about that?
There's a place off Ocean Avenue.
No, Matt, stop. We need them to pay for this. We can't give it to them for free.
Night.
Thanks so much for listening. We hope you join us for another episode real soon.
Night.